Hey, this is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel, and we're going to have some fighting words. So in this video, I want to talk about the upcoming bout with Ben Askren and Jake Paul. We're about a day away, and fight's here. All the talk is done, although Ben is still talking, but all the talk is done. It's just time for the action. I really wanted to talk about how Ben has been looking. So originally, when the fight was announced, I thought, oh, easily, Jake Paul is going to knock him out. However, I was seeing that based on Jake Paul's youth, also his size, and the fact that he's been training in nothing but boxing. However, I'm starting to waver on my thought, only because Ben Askren is a wrestler. Also, he is has been a professional athlete for like the last well over 15 years. And he's been competing, he's been grinding. So when I do compare the two, I have to admit that Jake Paul does have two notches over Ben. Those two notches being size and youth. However, when you look at the notches for Ben Askren, you have to admit that he has experience under his belt, and experience does play a major key in winning a victory. Also, he's been to a place that Jake Paul has not been to. Yes, Jake Paul has done 2 fights, or has had 2 fights. However, he's had 2 fights with people who are just as inexperienced as he is. So that doesn't say a whole lot. Not to mention the second fight didn't last very long. It didn't last very long at all. So he slapped the guy, I believe it was like the beginning of the second round. So it's not like he learned anything from that fight. It wasn't like he had to dig deeper or try something new. It was basic what he hit the guy with. The guy didn't know how to defend himself. So when you're dealing with a guy who doesn't know how to defend himself versus a guy who does know how to defend himself, you have to put that into consideration. Ben has been in this situation, in this predicament, meaning a fight, several times in his life. Like I said, well over 15 years of experience. Now, so he's been in there with, yes, he's a wrestler, however, and yes, he's an MMA guy. However, he has been in there with MMA guys who are predominantly strikers. Some who come from karate backgrounds, taekwondo, kickboxing, whatever. But also guys who have boxing backgrounds. And yes, he is a wrestler, and his primary goal and focus is to get you off of your feet. However, everything starts on the feet. So he first has to deal with him like this before he can get him down to the ground and then do what he does best and what he's been trained to do all his life since he was a little boy. That has to be put in consideration. Now, do I think this fight is going over 2 rounds? Yes, I do. Do I think this fight is going to go to the last round? If we're just talking about what each can take, let's put it like this. Ben Askren's last fight in MMA, he got a knee to the face. Yes, he was out cold, but he's been fine since then. Usually when guys get hit like that, they're never the same. Ben has shown no signs of a wear and tear, or he slurred speech or anything like that. He's been beat. Believe me, he's been beat up before. If you want to go back to the fight with Ben Askren versus Robbie Lawler, when Robbie Lawler, who is primarily a boxer, he will throw a kick every now and then, but he's primarily a boxer, put it on Ben, and he put it on him for a good minute, and Ben just weathered the storm. Do I think that Jake Paul can punch as hard as Robbie Lawler? No. Do I think that Jake Paul can twist the punch and put everything in it like Robbie Lawler? Because Robbie Lawler has been doing this for about 15 years himself. And the answer is no, I don't think he can do that. Do I think he will have been in the situation that Robbie had him in, where he had him down and he's just bashing his face in? No. When Robbie has people in a situation like that, it's Robbie Lawler. You're pretty much going to sleep, or the referee's going to stop it. Ben Askren weathered the storm, and he made it through. So when I'm thinking about these things, and I see how good that Ben was looking on those mitts, and granted, you can't take everything the way you see it, especially when you're looking at somebody in mitts. Because when you're looking at somebody in mitts, the reality is nobody's punching back at that individual. So yes, they can look really sharp, really clean, really crisp with their punches. But keep in mind, they're not in the heat of battle. Keep in mind, nobody is punching back. Keep in mind, they're not in a stress situation, and where they're fighting for their lives or nothing. No, they're hitting mitts. But they are hitting the mitts, and he was clean with his mitt punching. So, am I changing my thoughts? I think if this goes past 4 rounds, Ben Askren wins. That's what I think. He's a grinder, he's a wrestler. And he's an all-around professional athlete. Period. He knows what it takes. He knows how to dig deep, even when he's losing. That's something that Jake Paul doesn't know how to do. Yeah, he wrestled in high school, but that was high school. That doesn't count, not in my eyes. I just don't think it should count. That doesn't really mean a whole lot. It wasn't like he was wrestling for a championship or anything like that. But even if he does, it was a high school level. This is a professional level where people are getting paid. So there's differences. If it goes past 4 rounds, I think Ben Askren, do I think he's going to knock Jake Paul out? He could. How can he do that? Well, he's going to take Jake Paul to a place that he's never been before. That's the bottom of the well. So I don't know what Jake Paul's cardio looks like because I've never seen it. I definitely didn't see it in the last fight, so I really don't know what his cardio looks like. I know with Ben Askren, I know what his cardio looks like. I have tons of footage of it. I know what he has deep down inside. Goes past 4 rounds. I'm going to say Ben Askren by decision and possible knockout. If it's early, I'm going to say Jake Paul because he will just rush at the smaller guy, the older guy, and blitz him with everything that he has. But you tell me what you think down below. Drop a comment, and as always, like and subscribe.